We begin here. The SRC at Wits University says students will continue protesting if their demands are not met. The student body briefed the media a short while ago. Let's get the latest from our reporter, Pule Letshwiti-Jones. Pule, perhaps to start with what the EFF had to say. They've also weighed in on this, and you mentioned earlier that political parties seem to also be throwing their support behind students.
Yeah, definitely. Well, essentially what was coming from the EFF student command is that they want the students from the University of Johannesburg to join the march. So what is currently happening here, Heidi, on a broader perspective level, is that on Monday, it seems as though things may intensify. Currently, where we are right now is where this meeting is currently taking place between the SRC, of course, and the Wits management. They will be locked in a meeting from just a couple of minutes from now. It's set to start any moment from now. And we understand that that's where a decision could be taken as to whether the protest does stop or it continues on Monday as well. But as it is, we were being notified that they don't want anything less. Students want something that will speak to their demands immediately as well. And the EFF has been, of course, at the forefront of some of the the protests as well, saying they agree with the SRC, and therefore, if nothing happens, they will use whatever means possible to intensify the protests on Monday and shut down Braamfontein in the inner city of Johannesburg. Let's just take a listen to what they had to say earlier on.
It can't be that as an institution we have residences that are charged at 100,000 or 70-something thousand, while NSFAS is only willing to pay 45,000. And we are now forced to top up with more than 40,000 when we come from poor families where they can't even give us 500 for groceries. That is why we are demanding that 45,000 of NSFAS accommodation should go up. It is not enough. The second point is all students should be allowed to register regardless of how much historical debt they have. There should be no discrimination on the basis of the amount that a student has, and rather the scope for relief offered by the institution and the SRC should be widened and more provisions be made to assist students who are unable to cover the debt, especially those from disadvantaged backgrounds and missing middle class.
Well, it seems as though political parties are starting to weigh in on this, given the volatility of the situation, and students saying that they will continue with their protest on Monday should their demands not be met. What did the Wits SRC have to say about the eNCA'S SG Fikile Mbalula's remarks?
I've taken a jab at the Secretary General of the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, following his remarks in which he said poorly performing students should not exploit the financial crisis for political gains at the Wits as the Wits shutdown continues. And of course, this hasn't been received very well by the SRC committee, who of course started on social media to try and hold him accountable and say the reason why they're here today is as a result of the poor performing government. That's what they were criticizing the government, and that was coming from the SRC as well. But I want you to take a listen to what the president, Mnyama, had to say in response to these remarks by Mr. Mbalula.
And there is no such thing as SRC being used by political parties or serving their own interest. First, there is something problematic which was said by the Secretary General of the ANC, which he said these are poor performing students. At Wits, for you to be an SRC member, you must have an average of 60 if you are undergrad. You must have an average of 65 if you are postgrad. So all SRC members at Wits are students who are well performing, students who have graduated. I am a graduate, I have a job offer. I have nothing which I will gain from this protest. I am doing my constitutional job to represent students. So I want to make that clear to all media houses.
Pule, we do understand that Wits SRC are currently, if they have not already started, maybe just give us some context to that, will be meeting with management as well as the Vice-Chancellor. What is that meeting exactly going to focus on, given the fact that the SRC is saying if their demands are met, they are going to head to the streets again on Monday?
What we understand today is that meeting is crucial in terms of setting the tone and moving forward. The Wits management could either listen to the demands and give in and meet the students halfway, or they could either decline and say that the students will be held to account, or they could either call in the student representatives and give them a warning to say if they continue with the shutdown, there could be even much more consequences to face. So it could go either way, Heidi. But the SRC is quite confident that going into that meeting, they may get just quite a positive response they've been looking for quite some time. I mean, the Wits management has been saying that it's been trying to, get hold of the SRC. It's been trying to engage them. They've been trying by all means to ensure that they can talk and see how they can put this matter to bed. But the SRC has denied the claims, saying that's not true, saying it's propaganda, saying the institution has not come their way and tried to approach them in terms of trying to resolve this issue. So it will be quite important to see how this matter does unfold. But what we understand is that if they reach no agreement in this meeting, on Monday things will be quite worse, because they've said themselves that they will be regrouping with other students from the University of Johannesburg as well, and Wits. And essentially what you may be seeing at a national perspective, from bird's eye view, you may be seeing other institutions following suit as well, such as institutions in Pretoria, in the rest of the country as well, who will be trying to raise these issues. The problem here seems to be that government and of course NSFAS and these institutions have to come in and see how they can resolve these issues, because year in, year out, you see these protests beginning and taking place at the beginning of January and February, and it delays the academic curriculum as well, and therefore it also is costly for some of the parents of these learners, and of course for NSFAS themselves, because these students lose out on a lot of work and could possibly end up failing, and you have to reapply again for funding as well. So it's quite wasteful there. So it will be important to see what kind of leadership will be provided by the institution as to whether they can put an end to this ongoing protest by the students.
We'll just have to wait and see how this all unfolds. Thank you so much for that update. That is our reporter, Pule Letshwiti-Jones, outside Wits University.